Hello, everyone. My name is Tooways Asmau. Welcome to another episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the show will be available on podcast by tomorrow. For those of you who've watched quite a few of these episodes, if you know anyone who would benefit, please share it with at least one person. Now, if you're joining us live, drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves, and drop a two in the comments if you're watching the recording. My guest for this week is Louis Jooste, a lawyer who advises clients on cross-border financial planning and structuring. He's based in Guernsey. He's also the founder of a software company in the financial planning space. Louis, thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, it's a big pleasure. Thanks, you guys.
Let's jump straight into it. Tell us your story and where do you come from, and even outside of work, who is Louis Jooste? Give us that backstory.
Yeah, it's difficult to give a full story without it sounding like an obituary. But I am a loving father and husband, and I am a hard worker. I grew up in the middle of nowhere in the Northwest province, with a very unlikely path of getting here to where I am at the moment in Guernsey. Studied at the University of Potch. I studied law. After studying law, I started working, met my wife, started practicing law, got fed up with litigation and putting people out of their houses and out of their marriages, and decided I need to do something more noble, which led me to the financial services industry, where I focused on, I got a postgraduate tax diploma and CFP, and yeah, my life took a turn when COVID hit. I was working at FNB at the time, doing cross-border estate planning for the ultra high net worth clients. COVID made me realize that I needed to do something, and the technology at our disposal helped me to focus on getting the job done without worrying too much about all the noise on the side. And at the end of that year, I got awarded the Fiduciary Specialist of the Year. And for me, the natural move then was to come to Guernsey, where I am at the moment, in a trust company, managing offshore trusts and companies.
Okay. And outside of work, what do you do on the weekends?
Yeah, as I said, I'm a family man. So on the weekends, I try to spend time with the children. Here in Guernsey, there's lots of footpaths and things to do with children. And there's also lots of cultural activities like plays and yeah. So there's many things to do here in Guernsey, and I try to focus all my spare time on the family.
And maybe if I can jump into some of the work that you do. I mean, who are your what are the type of your main type of clients? Do you assist young professionals, or is it mainly those with significant wealth?
Yeah, so as I said, I work in a trust company, so we're mainly a corporate services provider. We work with I want to say the corporate and individuals. Although our main client base is families, wealthy families. Our clients are spread all across the world. As an example, I look after two Saudi families with the joint wealth is in the billions of dollars. Wow. It depends on it. What's nice about the job is there's a mix of work. It's not run-of-the-mill type cookie cutter clients. It's some clients have structures in Guernsey, and some clients have structures in Switzerland and all over the world, BVI and all those things. So yeah.
And if somebody wanted to come to do or to work with you, what is the minimum wealth that person would need to have?
It's a difficult discussion. It's the same as asking how long is a rope. It depends on what makes sense. At the end of the day, it is a niche market. We are not a volume-based business. we try to give quality service, and at the end of the day, the service comes at a price, especially when you're looking at the compliance burden. I think that's something that many people fail to understand is when you're dealing with global wealth, and especially in a place like Guernsey that's been rated City Wealth top financial center of 2023. There's definitely a few things that you need to do properly in order to safeguard wealth, and I think that's what it comes down to is compliance and making sure that you do the right things when you manage wealth, and that comes at a price, unfortunately. So I can't say, it's difficult to say how much is needed, but yeah.
And I mean, I'm sure you've seen lots of, you've done lots of financial planning for various different types of people. You've seen people who've come from generational wealth and people who it's the first time that they're professionals or it's the first time that they have wealth. What is one mistake you keep seeing people make when it comes to financial planning?
Well, the mistake that I've seen most people make is not knowing what will happen when someone passes away. Over and over, even in my days at working at FNB as a financial planner or a fiduciary specialist, is people on they don't know exactly what's going to happen when an incident happens, like death or disability, or even at a divorce. They don't know what's going to happen, and they don't plan accordingly. Something simple as a father passing away or the parents passing away, the children don't have a plan in place on what's going to happen with the wealth and how to manage it, especially when you're looking at next generation wealth. And that planning is where I see as Afrikaans saying die pap val op die grond, means things don't work out and everyone is angry at each other. I always, even when you're drafting wills, I always said that when you're doing planning, you can be as instructive as possible or as flexible as possible. The risk that you lose is when you plan for something and you make the rules, people are going to be angry at you. The next generation are going to be angry at you. But when you leave them to sort it out amongst themselves, they're going to be angry at each other. So that's a philosophy that I'm saying is try to have a clear-cut plan and make the flexibility not so much that you would cause tension amongst your children.
For the audience, we'll be responding to questions towards the end, so please add your questions to the comment section so that we don't miss them. And again, I mean, you mentioned that you deal with high net worth individuals, people from different parts of the world, but I'm assuming you do pay attention to, especially like trends when it comes to South Africans. Do you see a lot of South Africans moving overseas, or are they just merely investing overseas? What are the trends looking like currently?
Well, it's a mix of both. I mean, yeah, where I'm staying in Guernsey, there is a very big South African population. So much so that I think when I'm sitting in church on Sundays, there's more South Africans than Guernsey people here in Guernsey. So there's not a day that goes by that I don't speak Afrikaans. And that's excluding my home. So yeah, it's there's definitely a trend of people moving offshore. There's lots of Facebook groups that I'm a member of people that are moving over. So there's definitely a trend of people moving over, and you can even see that from the expat tax advisors that are out there. They are very extremely busy, and especially in places like Dubai and that there's many people trying to go global. And I mean, the world has become so small. It's easy to move away from South Africa if you want to. I mean, South Africa is a beautiful country. It has its problems, but there's still a very nice place to live in. There's still lots of opportunities for growth, definitely.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I noticed I'm seeing also a little bit of a trend of a lot of people who moved who are coming back, who are saying that the grass is not necessarily greener on the other side. Do you deal with those people as well?
Well, I haven't. I think there's only one person I know that moved back. but yes, it can be difficult, because if you live in a new place, you don't have your support structure with you necessarily. So unless you get involved in the community, it's not as red roses all around. You have to get involved, and you have to try and fit in, if I can, for lack of a better word. Yeah, so it is difficult. There is a cultural difference. I've stopped actually explaining my jokes a long time ago, because it's yeah, it is different, but it's nice in other ways. So yeah, that's the best advice I would give someone that is offshore, that's struggling, is to just try to see the bright side of things. Yeah, it's.
And then, I mean, you explained your journey. It sounds like you took a little bit, as a lawyer, you took a little bit of a roundabout way to becoming a financial planner. If somebody is coming out of school, or they're in varsity now and they're still doing their degree, what do you think is the best journey towards becoming a financial planner?
Well, if they want to be a financial planner, there's lots of ways to do it. Some people just do their RE5s, and they start working from the ground up, building client bases and getting to know the financial services products and things like that. But one thing that I could advise, and it was actually one of the most difficult things that I've done, including the law degrees, was the CFP examination. That is something that's super valuable, not only from a learning point of view, but also from a CPD point of view, and from showing that you know your stuff. That's something I would definitely advise someone that wants to go into financial planning. The other one is just to hold on, because it's not easy to start off being a financial planner, especially when you don't have that many clients. It's tough in the beginning, but once you've built the client base, it's worth it.
And do you I mean, you have a trend of certain people who say, no, I want to do this myself, I don't need a financial planner, or is that a personality thing, or is it, do you see people actually succeeding, or is it mostly everybody who's succeeding generally has a financial planner, or is it different levels? Because I'm interested actually now.
Yeah, no. It depends if like I always say, you have to, like, if for a person to be successful, especially a wealthy person, they need to sit around a table of specialized people. If you're not the specialist in your domain, it's better to get someone that knows their stuff, because they will think of things that you don't know about. For example, if you get married and you're married with a accrual system, if you include in your marital contract exclusion of policies that goes to your children, that can be excluded from the catch net of estate duty. So small things that you might not know, your attorney won't necessarily tell you that, because he didn't study necessarily the tax laws or the financial planning side of things. So there's lots of things to consider, especially when you're going offshore as well. There's lots of things that you can get in trouble for if you don't do it correctly. So I would definitely advise to just talk to someone, and if someone is kind, and they would be able to guide young professionals on what to think about and things like that.
Okay. Talk to us a little bit about the business that you founded. Who is it for, and how does it help?
Yeah, so the business that I founded was it's called Cloud Wealth. So it's difficult to explain, but in short, it's a client relationship management tool. But the difference is it's like the matrix. I like to think of it as a matrix, because with traditional client relationship management tools, you focus on getting the job done. But what we do is we focus on the whole network. So a client has a couple of advisors, or advisor has a couple of clients that they need to interact with. At the moment, people just send emails, or they have a system where their clients save documents to. But what we do is we try to create an ecosystem for the financial services industry where everything is digitized, but also where everything is safe with multi-factor authentication. So, for example, we take care of the digital verification process, or the identity verification process. You can do that on the system as well as the onboarding. So where the clients are frustrated for giving the ID and proof of residence every once in a while and filling in all the forms. Once you filled in the forms on Cloud Wealth, you don't need to you don't need to be a copywriter anymore. You can just draw it from the system. Yeah, and the other part is it's also a relationship management tool that fits in with the compliance framework. I think that's the biggest selling point for Cloud Wealth is if you have a compliance manager that builds in your workflows, you save your administrators or the people working on the files lots and lots of time. So and that's actually something that I'm very excited about. Is we're also trying to integrate AI, so voice to text minute taking. So think of sitting in a 3-hour board meeting. Once you step out of that board meeting, you have before you reach your desk, you have your minutes drawn up. You have your action points ready for the people to look at. You have resolutions, everything ready for you after the meeting. Another huge thing that I'm excited about on Cloud Wealth is the workflow processing thing. So let's say, for example, a client would normally send you an email saying, as a trustee, saying, "Listen, Mr. Trustee, I want a distribution from the trust." Normally, the trustees will then start their process, filling in forms and saying, "Okay, is this in line with the trust deed?" Go through the process, and then they draft up the necessary paperwork. But what we do is we allow the client to send you a bit more specific information to help you identify what the actual need is, and then it gives the administrator the right workflow to just say yes, yes, no, yes, no, and then at the back of that, after the authorization process, there is a document generation tool that so you can effectively things that would have taken a day or two can be done in half an hour. That's what we're trying to do.
Sounds very interesting. Before we jump over to questions from the audience, if there are any, is in terms of private client advice and financial planning, what is one question that you wish I'd asked that I didn't ask?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. I honestly can't say that when it comes to financial planning, the actual question that most people can't answer is actually twofold. Is do you know what's going to happen when you die, and are you able to retire comfortably? I think that is questions that I would for the audience that are not in the financial services industry, I would say. The other is, have you considered going global with what you're doing? Are you based in your business? Yeah, I think lots of people are happy with where they are, and they consider that the world is much bigger out there.
I think that's some good advice. I don't see any questions coming through. So, is there any last few words from you, or anything we didn't discuss that you'd like the audience to know?
I think at the end of the day, there's not really much to that advice that I can give anyone that's doing this. All that I could say is it was me coming from a very unlikely situation to this. Don't be complacent in where you are. The world is bigger. You are not the sum total of your circumstances. there's definitely a bigger world out there, and if you hit a rough patch, just keep going. That's the best advice I can give. There's not much I can give from a technical point of view, because there's so many aspects of the financial services industry to mention. The best advice I could say is just stay humble and stay positive.
You are not the sum total of your experience. I like that one. I'm going to keep that one and borrow that one. I think that's a great way to end. The show has been live on YouTube and should be available on podcast by tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel that it's added value, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click on that notification bell to get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Louis, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Tooways. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Two Ways to Skin a Cat. Goodbye.